Let me tell you something about toxic people. They thrive on silence. They feed on your hesitation. They grow stronger every time you second guess yourself. When a toxic person attacks, they're not just testing your patience. And if you let them, they will keep pushing, keep pulling, and keep taking pieces of your strength until you no longer recognize yourself. But here's the truth. You are not here to be their target. You are here to be power. Power doesn't mean screaming louder, doesn't mean fighting dirty, and it certainly doesn't mean lowering yourself to their level. Power means knowing who you are, standing tall in your values, and refusing to be moved by their chaos. Silence can be strength when it is strategic, but silence out of fear, that is surrender, and we do not surrender. So what do? You speak up. You call out disrespect. You set boundaries so clear they cannot be ignored. You don't explain your worth. You show it. You don't beg for respect. You demand it through your presence. Remember this, toxic people are loud because they are weak. They disguise manipulation as strength. But strength is calm, steady, and unshakable. And when you stand in that kind of strength, you don't just defend yourself. You teach others how to treat you. Do not stay silent when someone tries to diminish you. Do not swallow your voice just to keep the peace. Because the moment you do, you give them permission to keep going. Instead, become power. Power is clarity. Power is courage. Power is saying, you will not cross this line. When you carry yourself with that kind of unshakable presence, toxic people can't touch you. They may try, they may scheme, but they cannot win against someone who knows their own worth. So the next time they come at you, don't shrink, don't hide, and don't stay silent. Rise, stand firm, and let them see exactly what power looks like. Silence is one of the most misunderstood tools we have. People often confuse silence with strength, as if staying quiet in the face of disrespect makes them noble, wise, or even strong. But there is a very clear difference between silence that comes from strategy and silence that comes from fear. Silence that comes from fear is not noble. It is not strength. It is surrender. And when you surrender in front of toxic people, you give them everything they want without them even having to fight for it. Toxic people survive by testing how much you will tolerate. They make small comments, subtle digs, passive-aggressive remarks. They push just enough to see if you react. If you stay quiet, if you let it slide, they learn one thing about you. You can be pushed. You can be controlled. You can be silenced. And when they see that, they will never stop. Every moment you stay quiet out of fear is a moment they grow bolder. Think about it. Silence in the face of truth is not power. It is permission. You are permitting them to keep doing what they're doing. You are signaling to them, I won't challenge you. I won't fight you. I won't stand up for myself. And toxic people know how to read that signal better than anyone else. It is like blood in the water to a shark. They sense it instantly and they move in closer. When you speak with strength, you don't have to scream. You don't have to argue. You don't even have to match their energy. Speaking with strength is about clarity. It is about using your voice with intention, about sending the message that you see exactly what they are doing and you will not allow it. A calm, steady voice carries more weight than the loudest scream, but the key is that you must use it. If you bury your voice out of fear, you bury your own power with it. People stay silent for many reasons. Sometimes it is fear of conflict. Sometimes it is fear of losing relationships. Sometimes it is fear of being judged. But here is the hard truth. Every time you silence yourself for someone else's comfort, you teach them that your comfort, your peace, and your respect are less valuable than theirs. You teach them that they can come first and you will always come second. That lesson, once taught, is rarely forgotten. Speaking with strength is not about being aggressive. It is about being unshakable. It is about knowing what you stand for so firmly that when you open your mouth, the other person feels it. They hear it not just in your words, but in your tone, in your body language, in the certainty that radiates from you. Toxic people are not prepared for that kind of presence. They expect hesitation. They expect weakness. They expect someone who is afraid to rock the boat. What they don't expect is someone who can look them in the eye and say calmly and directly, "That's not acceptable. The first time you do this, it feels uncomfortable. It feels heavy. Your heart might pound, your throat might tighten. That is normal because you are stepping into a power that you may have kept hidden for far too long." But each time you speak with strength, that discomfort fades and something else replaces it authority. You begin to feel in control of yourself again. You realize you never had to surrender in the first place. You realize the voice you tried to protect by keeping it quiet is the very thing that protects you when it is used. Silence out of fear does not just impact how toxic people treat you, it reshapes how you see yourself. Every time you stay quiet when you should have spoken, you chip away at your own confidence. You tell yourself, "I can't handle this. I can't confront this. I'm safer if I disappear." And when you live like that long enough, disappearing becomes your default. That is how strong people lose their fire, not because others take it from them, but because they hide it themselves. When you choose to speak, when you choose to answer fear with strength, something shifts inside you. You begin to rebuild the trust you have with yourself. You stop second guessing whether you can handle life's challenges because you are proving it in real time. You stop apologizing for existing in spaces that belong to you just as much as anyone else. You stop letting toxic people set the rules because you finally understand that the rules are yours to set. Power is not found in silence born of fear. Power is found in the voice that refuses to be muted. And toxic people cannot stand against that voice because it is the one thing they cannot manipulate. They can twist words, they can create chaos, they can try to confuse you, but they cannot win when you speak from a place of unshakable certainty. That is when you stop being their target and start being untouchable. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are lines that define who you are and what you stand for. Without boundaries, you are a house with no doors, open for anyone to walk in, rearrange the furniture, and take what they please. Toxic people understand this better than anyone. They look for the cracks, the unlocked doors, the missing locks. They test you with small things first: interruptions, dismissive comments, subtle disrespect. If you let those moments slide, they learn one truth about you: you have no line they cannot cross. And the moment they learn that, they make their mission to keep pushing. Your power begins with the boundaries you create. Boundaries are not about being harsh or shutting people out. They are about saying, "This is where I stand. This is how far you can go, and no further." They are a reflection of self-respect. And when you respect yourself enough to draw those lines, the people around you learn to respect them too, or they reveal themselves as people who don't belong in your space. Toxic people hate boundaries because boundaries remove their control. Their entire strategy depends on your willingness to bend, to compromise, to sacrifice your peace just to avoid conflict. When you bend, they win. When you compromise your standards, they gain ground. But when you stand firm, when you refuse to shift the line you've drawn, you take away their weapon. You take away their ability to define the rules of engagement. Many people are afraid to enforce boundaries because they fear rejection or backlash. They think, if I stand up for myself, I might lose this relationship, this opportunity, this job. But here's the reality. If a person or situation requires to destroy your own boundaries in order to keep it, then it was never safe for you to begin with. A relationship that demands you abandon your self-respect is not a relationship worth keeping. A job that expects you to silence your values is not a job that respects you. The cost of abandoning your boundaries is always higher than the cost of enforcing them. Every time you enforce a boundary, you are not just protecting yourself in that moment, you are reinforcing the standard for how you will be treated in the future. Toxic people are opportunists. If they see weakness, they exploit it. If they see strength, they retreat. They may test you again, but each time you stand firm, they learn that the cost of pushing you is too high, and eventually they either back down or remove themselves completely. Both outcomes serve you. Boundaries also teach you about yourself. When you set them, you discover what you value most. You learn what you will tolerate and what you will never accept. You gain clarity about your limits, and that clarity gives you power. Because the person who knows exactly where they stand cannot be swayed by manipulation or guilt. They cannot be tricked into giving up ground because their ground is solid. Toxic people thrive on bending rules, creating confusion, and convincing you that you are the problem for even having boundaries in the first place. They might say, you're too sensitive, or you're overreacting, or that's not a big deal. They minimize your feelings to make you doubt yourself, but boundaries are not up for debate. They are not subject to another person's approval. They are yours, and the only validation they require is your own. The first time you enforce a boundary, it may feel uncomfortable. It may feel harsh, but discomfort is temporary, while the damage of not setting boundaries lasts much longer. Without them, you live in a cycle of resentment, frustration, and exhaustion. You find yourself drained because you are constantly giving more than you should, accepting less than you deserve, and swallowing disrespect that chips away at your self-worth. Boundaries break that cycle. They protect your time, your energy, your peace of mind. Standing firm in your boundaries does not mean raising your voice, nor does it mean being confrontational. It means being consistent. It means communicating clearly and following through with action when someone crosses the line. If someone continues to disrespect the boundary, then you decide how to respond by creating distance, by removing access, or by cutting ties completely. Power is not in how loudly you enforce the line, but in your willingness to stand by it no matter what. The strength of a person is not measured by how much they can endure without speaking up. It is measured by how clearly they can say, enough. It is measured by how consistently they choose self-respect over people-pleasing. It is measured by how unwilling they are to let toxic people redefine who they are. That clarity, that refusal to bend is the core of personal power. Boundaries do not make you selfish, they make you strong. They do not make you cold, they make you clear. They do not push away the people who matter, they reveal who truly matters, because the right people will honor your boundaries without question, while the wrong people will try to break them. And in that difference, you discover who belongs in your life and who never should have been there in the first place. True strength is not found in loud voices, dramatic gestures, or explosive reactions. True strength is calm. It is the kind of presence that doesn't need to announce itself because it is already felt the moment you walk into a room. Toxic people thrive on chaos, noise, and emotional reactions because that is how they gain control. They want you rattled, they want you emotional, they want you unstable. When you lose your calm, you lose your power. But when you remain steady, when you are unshakable, you take away the very fuel they need to function. Think about it. Manipulation works best on people who can be swayed by emotions. Toxic people rely on provoking anger, guilt, or fear. They push your buttons to see how far they can go. If you explode, they know they can control you. If you break down, they know they can guilt you. If you freeze, they know they can dominate you. But if you remain calm, if you stand there with steady eyes and steady words, they lose their grip. There is nothing more unsettling to a toxic person than someone they cannot shake. Calmness does not mean weakness. Calmness means control. It means you are the one holding the steering wheel, not them. A calm presence communicates authority without needing to shout. It signals that you are grounded in who you are and that no amount of noise can pull you off center. Toxic people mistake calmness for softness, but they quickly learn it is the most unbreakable shield. Being unshakable is not about pretending you have no emotions. It is about mastering them. It is about knowing that your emotions are yours to command, not theirs to exploit. When you are unshakable, you still feel anger, but you choose how and when to release it. You still feel hurt, but you don't hand that wound to the person who caused it. You still feel pressure, but you stand beneath it without collapsing. That mastery of self is what makes you powerful. Toxic people manipulate because they want reactions. Reactions tell them they are in control. Responses, on the other hand, belong to you. A response is measured, intentional, and rooted in strength. A reaction is wild, immediate, and rooted in chaos. When you respond with calm certainty instead of reacting with anger or fear, you break their cycle. They don't know what to do with someone who refuses to play the game. And in that moment, the balance of power shifts. An unshakable presence is built over time. It comes from discipline, from knowing yourself so well that no insult or provocation can define you. Toxic people will call you names, spread lies, or twist stories. But when you know who you are, their words bounce off you. You do not need to defend yourself against falsehood because your character speaks louder than their accusations. You do not need to chase approval because you already carry your own validation. That quiet confidence cannot be manipulated. Many people believe strength is about force, about domination, about always having the last word. But true strength is often silent. It is in the way you hold your ground when others try to move you. It is in the way you look someone in the eye without flinching. It is in the way you say less but mean more. A toxic person expects you to panic, to stumble, to scramble for justification. When you remain calm, when you are clear and steady, you strip them of the advantage. Being unshakable also protects your energy. Chaos drains you. Arguing drains you. Explaining yourself to people who don't care drains you. But when you choose calm over chaos, you keep your energy intact. You conserve your power for the moments that matter instead of wasting it on those who don't. That conservation allows you to stay stronger for longer. While toxic people burn themselves out trying to get a rise from you, that never comes. To be calm and unshakable does not mean you are passive. It means you are precise. You know when to speak, how to speak, and when to walk away. You don't scatter your power recklessly. You direct it with purpose, and that precision makes you impossible to manipulate. Toxic people thrive on drawing you into endless battles, but you refuse to step into their arena. Instead, you dictate the terms, and when those terms are not respected, you remove access completely. Strength that is loud can be challenged. Strength that is calm cannot. Loud strength demands recognition, but calm strength commands it naturally. Loud strength argues for respect, but calm strength receives it without question. Loud strength may win battles in the moment, but calm strength wins the war because it cannot be moved no matter how many battles arise. When you cultivate a calm, unshakable presence, you are no longer living in reaction to toxic people. You are living in alignment with yourself. They no longer pull the strings because you've cut them. They no longer control the pace because you set it. They no longer define the narrative because you speak with clarity, and your clarity cannot be twisted. That is the essence of true strength.